Thanks, Nicole. We're going to give you a snapshot of where the pandemic stands right now.
According to Johns Hopkins University, there are more than 35 million confirmed cases worldwide. Nearly 1,040,000 people have died globally. Here in the U.S., numbers are approaching 7.5 million confirmed cases since the beginning of the pandemic. The death toll has now surpassed 210,000. NewsNation correspondent Tom Negaman live for us in New York City, where some areas are dealing with a surge in new infections. Tom.
You know, what we're seeing right now is a surge in 9 New York area zip codes, Rob. That's prompted the immediate closing of nearly 100 public and private schools. An uptick in cases in parts of the city that was once the pandemic's U.S. epicenter, in line with COVID increases around the country, especially in states where colder weather is forcing more activities to be held indoors. 9 states, including Wisconsin, South Dakota, Montana, and Wyoming, reporting record COVID increases over the last 7 days. COVID-related problems rising with the coming of fall and the return to school. Chicago teachers accuse their school board of ignoring demands for safer working conditions. The union says a first-grade teacher died of COVID last week, and while the district says it's doing all it can, school clerks insist they are being put at risk.
Mostly women, mostly black and brown women.
New York State's Attorney General cracking down on New York sports clubs. A judge ruling customers can't be charged for memberships they can't use because of the pandemic. It's part of the balancing act state governments are being forced into between saving businesses and saving lives.
Life is options, my friends. You don't do this, the virus spreads, people die. You tell me which is the nice and kind and responsible course of conduct.
Governor Cuomo says, at least for now, he believes schools, most of them, and indoor dining, non-essential businesses too, can continue to stay in operation. But New York City's mayor says he'd still like to shut them down. Live in New York, Tom Negaman, NewsNation.
Thanks, Tom. Let's get now to Brian Enton, who's learning about which districts are doing what to return to the classroom safely. Brian?
Yeah, Joe, we're in Miami. This is the 4th largest school district in the country, and they are going with a staggered approach here. They reopened today for the first time in-person learning, but only for pre-K, kindergartners, first graders, and special ed students. Parents, though, still really nervous, many of them, about sending their kids back to school, but there are some new technologies that could help with that. School districts around the country are transitioning back to in-person class with lots of creative ways to try and keep students and teachers safe. In Beaufort, South Carolina, there are marks on the floor as a reminder to keep desks 6 feet apart, signs reminding students to socially distance, and plenty of hand sanitizer. In Syracuse, New York, they have plastic dividers on kids' desks.
But we wanted to make sure that we took every precaution that we could to get kids back.
And taking precautions is what Miami-based Secure Scan Check says they are all about. They've developed these UVC lights that are turned on at night to purify the air and sanitize surfaces. Several schools in New Jersey have already bought them. They're developing other products too. This machine basically looks like a metal detector. First, it checks your temperature.
36.3 normal.
Then you walk inside and you're automatically sanitized.
It's 100% safe, kills coronavirus, and is EPA approved.
Using a cup of hot water, Marilyn Dans with Secure Scan Check shows us what happens when someone has a fever.
Abnormal temperature. There are some schools that want to take temperatures also in the middle of the day, twice a day. This would allow that to happen very efficiently and quickly.
The goal is to get back into the classroom safely, because nothing beats that face-to-face connection between students and teachers.
I think it's easier just to see how they're learning based off of, just physical cues in the classroom. So I think it'll be a lot easier to tell if they're understanding or not understanding and just what I can help with.
And those new technologies, they are not cheap, especially for the public school districts. That UV light that you saw there is about $3,000 to $4,000, and that other machine that looks like a metal detector is about $15,000. Live in Miami, Brian Enton, NewsNation.
Brian, thanks a lot. We'd like to hear from you now. Do you think parents should have a choice as to whether their kids should have to go to school in person? Do you think teachers should have the option as well? Share your thoughts on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter, or you can send a comment through our app or website.